I am going to talk about something a little bit different today. Not going to talk about rules, not going to talk about settings. I'm going to talk about a little bit about a fantasy campaign I'm running now, and how am I going to get that from the current phase one of the campaign, to a phase two of the campaign.
World, one of the best games today.
Hey everyone, it's Carl with Tabletop Tango. Look at the bubbles, do the stuff. Would love your support, would love your likes and subscribes. We get enough subscriptions, we're going to hit a milestone, we're going to have a celebration, live stream, all that kind of fun stuff that we've done in the past for other milestones. And then support goes right into the channel, hosting, websites, and buying Savage World stuff. So anyway, we'd love your support too. So what am I talking about today? So not going to talk about a Savage Worlds rule or how to do something specific in Savage Worlds. I'm going to talk about my Savage Worlds campaign a little bit. I'm doing a Savage Pathfinder campaign, not just using the rules. It's a homebrew, and it's been going pretty well. But what I'm trying to figure out is, what do I do now to get to the next phase? You know, it's kind of like it's coming to an end of a chapter, a season. How do I go and not get into that sophomore slump and kind of the next phase of the game? I traditionally in my campaigns have an overarching story. It goes on, and then at the end there's a major milestone that the players get, and then we ask and we talk about whether we want to continue in this world, in this setting, but it can be a completely different adventure. Here it's fantasy, and it's sort of the overall vision of the thing is still not been realized because the players wanted a big, long campaign, longer than some of the other ones. So what am I going to do? So let's talk about a little bit the campaign. So the campaign starts off with the kind of the tenet that dragons have captured the old gods and have kind of held them prisoner. Players don't know this. All they know is that 1,000 years ago, the world was big cities, beautiful, at time of enlightenment, and then something happened. The old gods disappeared, and cities crumbled, people scattered to the winds, and they live in a little part of the world where they don't have a lot of contact with anyone else in the world. There's these 5 major villages, there's different farms and stuff, but they're all sort of off on this coast and separated from kind of the rest of the continent by this forest that's somewhat impenetrable, kind of dangerous, and so people don't tend to travel there. So during this beginning phase of the campaign, they were doing little adventures, more monsters were being seen, they've run into some undead that they've never seen before, and they found some temples as they discovered ancient roads that led into the forest. They discovered temples, they learned to become the adventurers that they needed to be. And during this early on part of it, they discovered an evil magic item that could basically turn an entire population center undead if they allowed it to. And they discovered there was a way of destroying it. So in kind of the second phase of this, they travel outside of the woods. They push through the woods with adventures and, you know, fighting evil and all that sort of thing. And they discover a large city that's thriving, and it's praise to the dragon gods, and the dragons are the right gods, and the old gods are the false gods. And so that's kind of the faith person, and they're like, the party's like, well, we don't understand, but we need to destroy this artifact. And they learn as they're going through long travels, you know, many months of traveling to find the secret of destroying this artifact, including some river adventures, including desert adventures, and all sorts of things. And they discover along the way that the dragons most likely have captured the gods. The gods aren't dead. They're probably still alive. And that there's an evil god who partnered with the dragons, who may not have lost all their power and is maybe trying to grow their dominion over the world again. So now they're at the stage where they're about to destroy this magic item. They found, they discovered where the Tower of Wizardry was, that the old gods had put into the water, had put into a lake so that it would be safe from the prying eyes of the dragons and the evil god. So that is kind of the stage you're at. They're about to have this. They had a evil magic item. They learned how to destroy it. Many adventures, and now they're about to destroy it. So that's the end game of the first. That alone could have been a cool campaign. But now we're into the second stage, or we want to go into the second stage of this campaign. What do I do? Well, obviously, I set some secrets in there about the dragons and that the gods are still alive, hoping to plant the seed that they might want to do something about that. The quick question, though, is what am I? The question to myself is, that's just a nugget. How do we get there? And so the first thing is, I really understood to myself, or I think to myself, I need to up the stakes. This is not crazy. It goes from they were discovering a single magic item, trying to destroy it. It was evil. It had lots of power. Well, now up the stakes. There's lots of these evil magic items out there, or there's dragon eggs out there that they want to potentially go and destroy, because that's one of the things that this thing that can destroy the magic item can do. It can also corrupt dragon eggs. And during their adventures, they discovered through a device that the dragons are waning, and they rise and wane in power, and they're nearly at the waning stage, at the lower spot where they renew life. New dragons are born, but they're the most easy to defeat at that point in time. So set the stage. So the stakes are bigger. There's a lot more of these items. They can decide that they want to go after the dragons themselves. Do they want to save the old gods? So the stakes are bigger than just saving the medium area from this hugely evil magic items. Second thing, I'm going, well, I did a good job of laying kind of framework, so now I need to connect that success to the next big thing. And this really kind of goes, like I said, in this tower, they're going to find this map of items and the prophecy that these evil things needed to be attacked, needed to be taken out, where the dragon eggs can be found, and then set that at the players and let the players decide whether that's what they want to go do or not. So they may, give them the decision. They may decide that the dragons aren't so bad because the dragon cities are doing well and the people don't seem evil. They just seem to worship the dragons instead of worshiping the old gods. So they may decide that the dragons are okay. Well, in that case, the Dark Lord is still a problem, still causing havoc, and they still might want to take them out. They may decide they want to go back to their homeland because early on in the adventures, there was a bunch of hooks and clues that maybe there might be a war coming. There might be evil forces at work. They might just want to go back home and make sure everything's okay. Well, then the war is coming to them, right? The forest is full of evil things. The war is coming inevitably. It's coming towards them, and now they may have to react to that. So they've got a lot of choices. And so the last thing that I really have come to a realization is I'm not going to railroad them. They've got all the agency in the world that they need. So I'm going to let them decide how they approach this post magic item thing. I'm going to lay it out to them that there's other magic items. They know that the dragons have defeated the old gods. They know the old gods are alive. They know that war is coming, evil is growing, but let them decide how they're going to approach the problem. And then I will build the adventures based on that. And so the last thing is I'm going to touch base and take a breath. We're going to take a breath from this big climactic win that they had by destroying this evil magic items and ask the players what they're interested in doing. What are their next steps? Because that will tailor the rest of this campaign for them. Right now, they're heroic level. So if you play Savage Worlds, you know that they're starting to get up there, and they really wanted to get to the highest levels they possibly could to just try out the end game, the high level when you're already past the max ranks and now you're just adding advances and picking and choosing all sorts of different things and getting some legendary ones and that sort of thing. So they're enjoying, or they wanted to do that. So the second phase is all about what can they do with all this incredible power that they've gained over time. But I'm going to ask them. So as I'm trying to figure out what I want to do or how this goes, I obviously had this kind of end game assumption in my mind, but now as they've been successful and, the evil magic item kind of grew out of some of the adventures. I never really thought that there'd be this quest to defeat this magic items. I assumed they would break out and travel the world because they had found these roads, and then they would discover this information as they go. But they didn't. They took a whole different path. We reacted to it. And so now it comes down to, can I up the stakes? Can I make the world seem more dangerous and their goals bigger than what they had before? Can I connect that broader thing to the successes they already had so that they can feel like the next logical step is to do X? But touch base with them, see where they want to go with it. Because if they are going to go home, that changes how I approach the campaign. I still have that overarching thing. The gods still are trapped by the dragons, but maybe the dragons now are a more active participant in the world coming forward because they are trying to, at their weakest, do something, right? But I don't know yet because I haven't talked to the players about where they're thinking about going with their characters and their travels, because they've covered maybe a quarter of this continent, and the dragons and where they need to go to kind of face the dragons is still way far away on the continent. And they'd have to decide that that's what they're going to do and follow that path. So anyway, not exactly Savage Worlds material, but I'd love in the comments people to say how they think about doing their next, they've got a campaign that has a great kind of ending point. How do they think about getting out of that sophomore slump, push the next big thing? Do they think of the same way as I thought about it, ratcheting up, or they think about something else? Their players are different. I just love in the comments to hear all about what you're doing and how you do it. And I think we can all learn together by doing that. So thanks much. I'm Carl with Tabletop Tango. Look at the bubbles, do the stuff again. Support would be great. Like, subscribes, comment for sure on what you're doing. And finally, if you subscribe and we get enough subscriptions, we can have that celebration. In previous celebrations, we've had some PEG people on and participated in game shows or quiz shows. And so that's always super fun. And I try to do that. Not guaranteeing I can get them on, but if I can, we have a lot of fun. So once again, Carl, Tabletop Tango. We'll catch you later.
Savage World, one of the best games today. Savage World, Benny, enhance my play. Oh, Savage World, different setting any day.